This handout summarizes everything that you need to know in Chapter 7, Sections 1 and 2, and Section 8.1. So I'm gonna demonstrate most of the common questions in Chapter 7 and Section 8.1 using TI-84 and StatCrunch. We're gonna begin with the first question. If he asks you to find the probability of z less than 1.23, which is which means the area to the left of z equal 1.23 under the normal curve, under the bell-shaped curve. Here is how you do it. First of all, using StatCrunch, and then we'll go to the calculator. To use StatCrunch, you just go to Stat, you go to Calculators, and you select Normal Calculator, and let me just put it on the middle of the screen so then you can see what we're doing here. Okay, when it is about z, make sure that the mean is 0 and the standard deviation is 1. So he wants the area to the left of 1.23. To the left means less than. All you need to put just 1.23 right here. And hit compute. And here you go. Not only, so the answer is 0.8907, let's say, for decimal places. Not only you got the answer, but you have a visual of what we're asking for. So a probability, guys, means an area under the curve, under the normal curve. And look, this is 1.23 right here. This is the area to the left, and it's about 89%. Let's go to the next question. Probability of z greater than 0.88. Okay, let's go back. Greater than, you need to use a greater than sign, and then 0.88. Compute, here you go. Look, this is 0.88. This is the area to the right of it, and it's 0.1894. Next question. Find the probability of z between 0.76 and 1.22. Okay, here's the in between right here. 0.76, 1.22, and look, not only you're going to get the answer, but you're going to get a visual of this. It's right there. This is the shaded area. It's a small area, and the answer is 0.1124 or 11.24%. Now, how do we do this one? Using the calculator. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to redo the questions using the calculator. I'm going to bring the calculator right here. So you go to second, variable, and it's normal CDF. Okay, it's asking you for a lower bound, upper bound, mean, and standard deviation. If it is a less than 1.23, that means your lower bound, and you can see, let me just take you back to the graph. Let me go back to the first one that we did. Okay, you notice this curve goes along the x-axis but never touch it. So the lower bound here, it never ends right here. So we have to put negative infinity. But instead of putting negative infinity, if we use a calculator, we're just going to put a negative a million. And if the red shaded area extends to the right, then it's going to be a positive a million. So using your calculator, your lower bound should be negative a million. Your upper bound should be the 1.23. And then 0, 1, because we're working with z. You hit paste. And let me see. Oh, I should have used the negative sign right here. Negative sign, and now it's gonna work. And same answer as we did before. The next question is find the area probability of z greater than 0.88. Greater than 0.88 means 0.88 and up. So your lower bound will be 0.88 and your upper bound will be a million. Let me just do that. Oh, sorry. Second invertible. Number CDF. So 0.88 a million, and then 1. And here you go. For the last one, what was it? Between 0.76 and 1.22. 0.76 is the lower bound and 1.22 is the upper bound. So let's go back. 1.22. So that should be easy here. And that's the answer. Okay, so that's how we do question 1. Question 2. Find the z-score in the 65th percentile. What does that mean? He's given you the area. 65th percentile means the area to the left of the target is 65%. We need to find the z-score that corresponds to that. So let me show you how to do that using StatCrunch first. All right. So when he asks you, he's not asking you to find a probability now. He's asking you to find z-scores. This is section 7.2, guys. So this is what you do. The answer to the probability usually is right here. So the calculator will give you the StatCrunch will give you the answer right here. But he already gave us the probability. He said 65%. So you just put 0.65. And since the percentile is an area to the left, you make sure that you have the less than sign right here and just hit compute. And now you're going to see something displayed right here, which is going to be the z-score. So now hit compute. And here you go. So the z-score is 0.385 or 39. That would be the answer, 0.39. Okay, let's see the next one. So here's z equals 0.39. Usually z-scores are written to 2 decimal places. So z equal. Now we want the area to its left is 0.55. Okay, same thing. If it is an area to the left, so you leave the less than sign. You put the 0.55 right here. And then you hit compute. And here's the z-score. Look, it's right here, right above 0, which is about 1.25613. Find the z-score for which the area to its right is 0.68. Okay, if he gives you an area to the right, guys, you need to use the greater sign. Look, now you see a area shaded to the right, and it's 0.68. You just put the area right here, and then you get the z-score right there. It's negative 0.4, negative 0.47. All right, how do you use calculator for this one? To find values, to find x values, or to find z-scores, this is the function that we're going to be using. You're going to be using second, variables, and not normal CDF, inverse norm. Inverse norm means will take you, it's a reverse, just of normal CDF. Okay, let's go to the first question. The first one, 65th percentile. 65th percentile, that means the area is 0.65. And this area is, if your calculator doesn't have left, center, right, you always have to put the area to the left. And which is, since it is a percentile, it's an area to the left, and just paste. Enter. And look, same answer that we got before. Next question. Find the z-score where the area to its left is 0.55. Same thing. Oops, sorry. So I'm going to change this 0.55 and leave everything the same. And here's the answer, 0.13. And for the last one, we said the area to the right is 0.68. Okay. If you use your calculator and it looks like this one, it has the left, center, right, you can put 0.65, but here you choose right. And then you get the answer, which is negative, oh, 6.8. I put 6.5 here. I was wondering, it's not the same. So let's redo it. It has to match. And now I go. You see, sorry. So we got, and now, see, the same thing, negative 0.47. But if your calculator doesn't show left, right, center, this is what you do. Let's say you don't see the tail here. You don't have the tail on your calculator, which is fine. But instead of putting the area to the right, you have to put the area to the left. Since 68% is the area to the left, what would be the area to the right? Then what would be the area to the left? It's 1 minus, so it will be 0.32. And then in this case, by default, it's going to be left on your calculator. If you don't see the tail, that means your calculator by default, this formula is always left. And look, I'm going to get the same answer. There you go. Okay, let's go to the next question, which is really the big question that covers everything in this section. A pediatrician obtains the heights of her 3-year-old female patients. The heights are approximately normally distributed with a mean of 38.72 and a standard deviation of 3.17. What is the probability of randomly selecting a 3-year-old female that have a height less than 35 inches? So he wants probability of X less than 35 inches. Let's do it using StatCrunch first. And the mean is 38.72 and the standard deviation is 3.17. So you change the mean to 38.72 and standard deviation is 3.17. And we need the probability of X less than, just change the sign, 35. Now you can go back and put the numbers there. He's asking for probabilities. And compute. And here's the answer. Look, this is 35. This is the area to the left. Less than means area to the left. 1203. Next question. What is the probability randomly selected a 3-year-old female that have a height more than 40? So just we need probability of X more than 40 equal. Let's go to StatCrunch. All you need to change the sign greater than and make it 40 and compute, which is 3432. All right. Next question. Find the probability randomly selected 3-year-old has a height between 35 and 40. So we need probability of 35 less than X less than 40 equal. Okay, let me show you how to use static range. You have between function right there, just use it and put 35 right here. It's very easy to use this applet, guys. It's extremely easy. Compute 5365. Okay, find the height. I'm gonna do everything using StatCrunch, and then I'll show you how to use the I-84 for this one. Find the height of a 3-year-old female who is in the 35th percentile. Once he gives you a percentile, that means he gave you the probability. Now he wants the X value. X equals. So here's how you do it. You already know the probability, so we're gonna just do this now. Since I have to go to standard, since it is a percentile, I have to do less. and he gives me the height, the probability, guys. 35th percentile. So just put 0.35 here, and then you're gonna get the height right here. Okay, compute, and look, it's 37.5. That's the height. You can see it right here. Look, this is the number right there. Oh, pounds. Okay, next. What height would place a 3-year-old female in the top 90%? When he gives you top 90%, that means he's giving you the area, he's giving you the probability. And a top 90% means an area to the right. And we need X again. Okay, here's how you do it. You need to change the sign to greater than because it's top. You need to put 90% right here. And then the answer is, let's just go back. So, right here. 34.65 or 66. Okay. Or 34.7. We can do that right here. Where did I put pounds here? It's inches, sorry. I thought for a second we're talking about the weights, not heights. It's all heights. Okay. What heights are in the middle 80% of all heights of three? So again, he wants two values here when he says middle 80%. And this is probably a question we're going to come across in some of the homework questions. So let me show you how to deal with it using StatCrunch. Very easy. Okay, you do in between. You just put 80% right here. Because 80% there are two values, one on the right and one on the left. And you're going to see the visual, guys. Watch. There you go. There's one. This is 80% in the center. This is 10% right here. This is 10%. And these are the two values. One is 34.7 and the other one is 42.8. So 34.7 and 42.8. All right. Now this is section 8.1. So please pay attention to this part, how different section 8.1 from chapter 7. Here, he's not picking one individual now, he's picking a sample. So he says if 25 3-year-old females are selected, what's the probability that the sample mean is less than 37.5? So here, N is 25. And he wants the probability not of X, of X bar, the sample mean X, and then with the bar on top of it is less than what? 37.5. When you review section 8.1, or if you have reviewed that, you notice when we work with the sample means, the standard deviation changes. So originally he gave me a standard deviation, which is what? 3.17. But when you work with the sample means, the standard deviation is no longer 3.17. The standard deviation is going to be, let me just write it down. The mean remains the mean, it doesn't change. But the standard deviation of the sample means is the original standard deviation divided by square root of sample size, which he gave us, which is what? 25. So my standard deviation is going to be 3.17 and divided by square root of 25. What is square root of 25, guys? Is 5. And let's do this. I got 0.634. So how we're going to use StatCrunch for this one? So again, it's an X with the line, on top of it. I can't do it, just using the keyboard, but you know what I meant by X bar here. Less than 3.75.5. Sorry, it's not greater. Okay, let's go to StatCrunch. Okay, we need to go to standard. Okay, you need to change this, guys. Whatever standard deviation I got, which is 0.634, and then change this to less, and I forgot less than what? 37.5. Just put 37.5 right here. Compute, and here you go. The answer is 0.0272. Let me ask a question here. Is this considered usual or unusual event? If the probability is less than 5%, it's unusual. So this is unusual event. Unusual means unlikely to happen. Okay, another one. If 33-year-old females are selected, what's the probability their sample mean is more than 38.25? Again, probability, it's for X bar, X with the bar on top, greater than 38.25. Again, guys, the standard deviation, when you work with sample sizes, the standard deviation change. So the standard deviation in this question, it's not the same as G because we have 25, here we have 30. The standard deviation of the sample means is 3.17, the original one, divided by square root of 30 now. And let me pause and give you the answer, which is 0.579. All right. And now let's see what probability of X bar greater than 38.25. We need to change, I need to input this new standard deviation 0.579. And greater than 38.25. Compute, and here's the answer. 7915. This is everything that you need to know in this chapter. Now for students who use the TI-84, I'm going to go back and redo question 2 using the TI-84. Okay, so we have a mean of 38.72 and standard deviation is 3.7.